Have you ever heard of German rhubarb cake? It's a decadent yellow cake topped with summer rhubarb and pillowy meringue. I kind of had to try it. In a large bowl, we'll take 4 egg yolks and 1 egg, followed by 150 grams of sugar. I like to measure by weight for accuracy, but I'll provide volume weights in the comments. Just plop that sugar in your bowl and mix it until it's a nice light yellow. Toss in a pinch of salt and 4 tablespoons of neutral oil. I use canola, but whatever you have on hand is fine. A tablespoon of vanilla, and no, that's not soy sauce, and a half a cup of milk, and 1 teaspoon of lemon juice. And just go ahead and whisk that up until it's all incorporated. Now we've got 8 grams of baking powder, which is 1 teaspoon and a half. Then we're going to go ahead and measure out 180 grams of flour, exactly 180. And we're going to add that in parts so that while we're mixing, it is fully incorporated and we don't have any lumps. Now make sure, it's really important to take your spatula and scrape the sides of the bowl, because if you don't, you could have an uneven cake, and mix all of that in. Once you've got a smooth batter, we're going to take a 13 by 9 lined with parchment paper and just go ahead and get that batter right in there. And tilt the pan to make sure it's fully even. Now we're going to take 350 grams of chopped rhubarb. Honestly, I could have doubled the rhubarb and I would have been more than happy. But I think 350 grams is a nice starting point for most people. And if you don't have rhubarb, you can use really any fruit would be fine. And we're going to cover that with 5 tablespoons of sugar for sweetness against that tart rhubarb. And then 5 tablespoons of flour to soak up any moisture that the rhubarb bleeds out while cooking. And if you double the rhubarb, make sure you double the sugar and flour. While the cake bakes for 10 minutes at 400 degrees, we're going to go ahead and make our meringue. I've got 8 tablespoons of sugar here, 1 tablespoon and 1 teaspoon of cornstarch, and those 4 egg whites we didn't use earlier with a pinch of salt. So we're going to whisk the egg whites and the salt up until they're frothy, and then add in 1/3 of the sugar. Once it's cloudy and frothy, we'll add in 2/3 of the sugar. And finally, the last bit of sugar once it becomes frothy and opaque. We're going to keep whipping that up until it reaches soft peak stage. And then we're going to add in half of our cornstarch. Just whip it in, make sure it's incorporated. And then add in the rest of our cornstarch. And we'll keep beating that until we reach the stiff peak stage. Beautiful. Now we've got our cake out of the oven. It's not fully baked, and we're plopping our meringue on top. It's kind of awkward, so I spaced it out in clumps and then smoothed it over. And finished baking that at 320 degrees Fahrenheit for 35 minutes. Now our cake is complete. I'm cutting into it. And honestly, this is such an elegant and mellow dessert. I really hope you try it. Have a lovely day.